Hey everyone, welcome back to Maniacs. This is our first look at the new DLC, or Deck-Loadable content, for the now rebranded UniVersus collectible card game. Every month this year, Jasco Games will be releasing these 20 card packs to supplement existing sets. This year we are going to see Mortal Kombat X, Street Fighter, Cowboy Bebop, and 2 different Soul Calibur 6 packs. Those are all additions to existing sets, but the only original IP joining the DLC packs is Grimm Fairy Tales, based off the comic series of the same name from Zenescope Comics. These packs are going to release the first Friday of every month from this point forward, with the first Soul Calibur 6 set dropping on March 6 next month. This set releases this Friday, February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day to us. Each set will contain 4 new character cards, and 2 foundations and 2 attacks for each of those characters. Now, this is going to be different from our normal unboxing videos, since this is only a 20 card set and everyone already knows what all the cards are. There's no point in me revealing them to you. It's a sealed set. They're all the same in every one. Instead, we're going to go over the strategy behind each of these cards, and we'll see if we can come up with some good ideas on how to use them either by themselves or with existing characters. Because, as you know, if you play the game, that's half the fun of UFS, or excuse me, UVS, as we're calling it now. Now, let's get right into it. First off, we have Belle, based on, of course, Beauty and the Beast. She is a 7-hander with 19 vitality, and the Earth, Good, and Void symbols. She has a responsibility that is once per turn that says, after your weapon attack is blocked, flip one of your opponent's foundations. Your next card, doesn't say attack or anything else, just card, anything, gets minus X difficulty. X equals the number of your opponent's face-down foundations. And she also has an enhance ability that says, flip 2 of your foundations. No more enhances can be played this enhance step. Now, Belle is obviously meant to be used with weapon cards and abilities that benefit from flipping foundations. So right off the bat, she can work very well with Siegfried and Kuwabara's toolkits. Basically, any of the Soul Calibur 6 characters she shares symbols with, she can work with very well, which makes her very flexible in that regard. And her enhance ability is obviously very powerful, shutting off enhances and essentially sending an attack straight to the block step. Next up is her attack, Matricide. It has a +1 mid-block. It is a 6-high 6 with the Breaker 2, Weapon, and Combo, parentheses, Weapon keywords. It has a Combo Response. After you play this attack, it gets Flash, which means it automatically goes to the block step, and it gets +X speed and +X damage. X equals the number of your opponent's face-down foundations. Now, it does have some heavy setup with 2 combo requirements, meaning it can be very easy for your opponent to disrupt it, but if you can get it off and say you've stunned your opponent a lot, you've somehow looked at their hand and know that they don't have any way to get around it, or they may have no hand at all, or a small hand for whatever reason, you can easily dunk your opponent with like a 12-high, 12 attack with Flash. Just bam, deal with it. That's crazy. The Breaker 2 with the +1 mid-block is a nice touch, as well. It can be used defensively very effectively. Next up is her foundation, Beast Hunter. It has no block symbol. It is the unique keyword, and response, flip. After the second or greater copy of an attack is played, flip it, which means you can't use it anymore. Has another response that says remove. After the combat phase begins, unflip up to 2 foundations. Despite having no block symbol, this foundation is a great defensive tool for any character that shares symbols with Belle. As we see a lot of strategies in the current meta that like to reuse and recycle the same cards over and over again. As a Ken player, I love playing Shadow Slicer 4 times in one turn. And, keep in mind, it will stop cards like Shadow Slicer because even though it bounces back to your hand, when you play it again, it still counts as the second copy of that card being played in the turn. It doesn't lose memory or anything like it does in some other card games. But being that this is also a unique foundation, you don't want to see too much of it, So I would say it's a 1, max 2 of, if you do want to use it in a deck. But like I said, any character that shares a symbol with this card will probably want to have at least 1, at least in the sideboard. It's a really good card. And the best part is, even if it doesn't directly stop an attack, even if it just stops your opponent from playing it because he can see it on your side of the field, then that's even better. You've stopped your opponent from playing it at all. Alright, next up we have Skymathers. Another 7-hander with 19 vitality and the chaos, life, and water symbols. She has a responsibility. After you or your opponent discards 1 or more momentum, this attack gets +2 or -2 speed. She also has an enhance that's for your attack that says, once per turn, discard 1 card from your opponent's card pool. Add the top card of your deck to your momentum. Sky uses a lot of momentum manipulation, so Tira's kit off water is definitely a great fit for her. Her attack is Divine Justice. It has a +2 low block, it is a 4 mid 6, and it's a 5 difficulty 3 control check. I forgot to say about matricide, it is also a 5 difficulty 3 control for past reference. It has the Breaker 1, Reversal, and Weapon keywords. You're noticing a lot of these newer cards, especially labeled under UniVersus, have a lot of keywords on them. Response, card pool. After you discard 1 or more momentum, gain 2 vitality. Enhance, discard 1 momentum. If this attack deals damage, add the top 2 cards of your deck to your momentum. Now, it's a pretty basic attack that feeds into her general momentum-based strategy, but Breaker 1 and Reversal do make it a great defensive option as well. Her foundation is called Novices Progress. It has a +2 high block with a 2 difficulty and 4 control. It has a responsibility that says, make a check of 4 or more. After 1 or more cards leave your opponent's card pool, this attack gets +1 or -1 damage. Obviously works directly with her other cards. Enhance, once per turn. Discard 1 momentum. Ready this foundation. Your next check to play a card gets +1, playable while committed, because of course it has to be. Another card that feeds into her momentum manipulation theme. It's a good setup card to complement bigger plays on your turn. So some cards, a lot of the cards we'll see in these DLC packs are like big, like turn-ending cards, like bam, that's like, you know, something that might end a game. This is one of the few like really good setup cards. It's not going to do anything huge by itself, but it's going to help you down the line. Because another thing UVS is pushing a lot is long turns. We've even seen a lot of it in sets like Libra of Souls, where it seems like Jasko wants people to have a lot longer turns, so there's a lot of cards to complement that. Alright, so next up is the Dark One. He is a 6-hander with 32 health, so he's a beefy boy, with the air, evil, and fire symbols. Enhance, remove 1 card from your discard pile. If you removed a card with printed control of 2 or less, ready your character, playable while committed, obviously. Response, after you commit this card, both players lose 1 vitality, playable while committed. So, I don't think Dark One is competitive in the slightest sense of the word, but this could be a really fun meme deck. Since it revolves around 2 checks, you can do some wacky stuff with cards like Coffee Samba, Missile Launcher, etc. Now, there are currently only 53 cards in Standard that share symbols with the Dark One that have a control of 2 or less. So you don't have a lot of ways to try and do what the Dark One wants to do. It also makes the character very volatile, which again makes me think this character is purely for the lulz. And it's a great exercise in deck building strategy as well, but I don't see it placing highly at a PTC or anything anytime soon. But who knows, maybe someone is out there that can unlock this guy's true potential. But I won't hold my breath. Our attack here is Hellfire Impalement. It's a 5 difficulty, 2 control, with a +1 high block, and it's a 5 high 7, with the Fury, Slam, Stun 1, and Weapon keywords. Enhance. Discard the top 10 cards of your deck. Draw X cards. X equals the number of cards with a printed control of 2 or less discarded this way. Enhance. Remove X cards from your discard pile with a printed control of 2 or less. Ready X Foundations. This card is absolutely hilarious. On paper, you can see where this card could possibly make some moves, but in order for this to work, and this is the problem with the whole character, honestly, you have to load your deck up with 2 and 1 checks, which in UVS is the easiest way to lose very quickly. So, you know, it's a little rough. Next up is the Foundation Transformed Prince. It is a +1 mid-block, a 0 difficulty, 2 control check, even his Foundation is a 2 check. Response, remove. After you check this card to play an attack, that attack gets +1 damage for each card in your remove from game pile. Response, after you check this card to play a non-attack card, your check gets +3. Now the problem with that is the attacks are the things you really want to make those checks on. But this could possibly be good with cards like Hurricane of Death and Lord Raptor, but again, even the Foundation is a 2 check, and that kind of kills the whole strategy. Somebody somewhere is going to maul through their locals with a jank version of the Dark One, but I just can't see it hanging with even the middle tier decks, let alone the top tier ones. So your mileage may vary. Meme it up. Lastly is the one character that I actually really like, Van Helsing. She's a 6-hander with 27 health, and the all, death, and order symbols. Enhance. Discard 1 card. Change the zone of your attack to any other zone. It gets +1 damage for each weapon card in your card pool, playable while committed. Enhance. Commit. Draw X cards. X equals this attack's stun rating. Now, there are a lot of fun and potentially powerful moves you can make with this character. You can abuse the hell out of cards like Caltrops, and if you're feeling really spicy, just draw 7 cards with a Prism Storm of Torment. Next up is her attack, Stakeout. Get it? It's got a +2 low block. It's a 4 difficulty, which is nice to see, and a 3 control. It's a 4 high 3 with stun 2 and weapon keywords. Enhance. If this attack deals damage, your opponent loses X vitality. X equals this attack's stun rating. Enhance. Discard 1 momentum. This attack gets +2 to its stun rating. So, obviously, you can easily drain your opponent of 4 life off the back if you have the momentum to fuel the first enhance. Now, between Grimm and what we have seen of the Soul Calibur 6 preview so far for the next DLC pack, UVS seems to be pushing a stun-heavy meta. And if that trend continues, this card is going to be a great piece of support for it and will probably only become more valuable as time goes on. Lastly is her Foundation, Unlikely Romance, with a little nyeh-hoo. It's a 1 difficulty, 5 control with a +2 mid-block. Response, destroy. After your opponent plays an ability that destroys any number of your foundations, cancel its effects, playable while committed. Enhance, flip. This attack gets +1 or -1 to its stun rating. So, combining it with Stakeout, you can now drain your opponent for 5 health if you get it all together. Not only does this reinforce stun, which is great for the symbols it supports, but anti-debuild is very welcome for any of these symbols. Even though Spirit Gun got errata to being Yusuke only, debuild is still something to be wary of, and Jasco isn't afraid to print more of that kind of stuff. Keep in mind, though, this does not stop cards like Forbidden Moonset, because that card just adds your foundations to your hand. It does not destroy them. UVS is a very literal game, so you have to be careful of those things. So, overall, Grimm Fairy Tales is a decent start to the DLC packs. I don't have any personal attachment to the IP, so the hype isn't nearly as high for me, like some of the sets down the line, like Bebop, or especially Street Fighter. And even though none of the cards really stand out to me personally, it does give a very good starting point for a few different characters and archetypes, and it is great for people just starting out with the game, which hopefully there will be a lot of once My Hero Academia comes out. And that's the crowd I think it's definitely aimed towards the most. One thing I will say, though, is these boxes are huge! Look at this thing! I'm not sure why Jasco made these so big, but I think shrinking them down considerably would not only help with things like shipping, but it'll make their appearance more akin to an expansion set in LCG, which I think is more what these sets should be aiming to look like to consumers. But overall, a pretty solid start nonetheless. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we will be giving away 1 box of the Grimm Fairy Tales DLC pack to a lucky viewer. Just follow the Gleam link in the post where you found this video to learn how to enter. Once again, a huge thanks to Jasco Games for providing the product for us to share with you, and I will be at Worlds on the 19th in Vegas with some other members of the Maniacs crew. So if you're there yourself, feel free to say hi. My name is Kevin and this is Maniacs. Thanks for watching. Signing off.